Hip-hop artist, outspoken lyricist, college graduate, self-employed, independent artist, and recently podcaster. That's just a short list of the awesome range of skills today's guest has. He goes by Zuby, and according to his website, he is an outspoken, authentic, and self-assured. He is a hip-hop artist who doesn't shy away from expressing his perspective. Every lyric, chorus, and statement proudly proclaims his beliefs, and with rare honesty that is refreshing, compelling, and inspiring. It was Zuby's outspoken nature that intrigued me when I first encountered one of his tweets that it came across my feed. We'll tell you what that tweet was after the intro.
You're listening to the Unframe of Mind Show, the place to have the most mind-stretching, unprotected, intellectual intercourse of your life. Your host, Daniel Wagner, battles the forces of evil by lobbing fiery balls of truth, reason, and evidence over safe room walls.
All right, and welcome back to the Unframe of Mind Show, where we have uncomfortable conversations without a condom. I am your host, Daniel Wagner, and today I'm going to be talking to a gentleman by the name of Zuby. He comes from the UK. He's a independent rap artist, hip-hop artist. I'm not sure which one to go with. I've seen you refer to yourself as both, so I'm going to assume both. But at any rate, welcome to the show, Zuby.
How you doing, Daniel? Good to be here, man.
All right. So basically, as I alluded to in the intro, we had I had come in contact with your content about a year ago, and we've been working on, our schedules are crazy, so just trying to work on getting together to make this happen. And I just want to read the tweet. We'll start from there and just kind of see what the aftermath of that's been. and see
go for it, man.
See if you
Remind
even
me, I don't even know which one it was.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. If you even remember it, but it was just indicative of the kind of content I was in for. At any rate, the tweet said I'm not even American, but the vile stuff I see spewed by verified Democrats all over Twitter each day makes me wish I could vote Republican. They fully lost. They fully lost the plot, and their minds give it a rest. # walk away.
Wow.
There's that. So have you pretty much stayed the same, or are you kind of shifting opinions at this point, or?
I think that's truer now than it was when I wrote it.
Oh, the truer now. So what do you mean by that?
Well, I mean, it's funny I get involved in a lot of political discussions because I'm not someone who's very interested in the nitty-gritty of politics.
I know. I'm kind of the same way, actually.
Yeah, but being online, being as someone who's got a pretty large following on Twitter and who follows a lot of interesting people, some of whom are very political commentators and stuff like that. And I try to follow like a really broad range of people. And obviously being involved in the music world, I follow a ton of music people as well. So I think I get a pretty good indicator of, what the barometer is politically or socially or culturally or whatever. And the reason I would say that I think that's even truer now is because from what I can see, it looks like the Democrats in the States, it looked to me like they're getting more and more extreme. I've seen that they're starting to I saw those senators pushing for super late term abortions or post-birth abortions, which I think is called infanticide.
That's what it would be called, right?
And yeah, and I mean, that's not even within the realm of any form of that's completely indefensible to me. There's that. Of course, there was all the Brett Kavanaugh stuff towards the end of last year, and essentially trying to incriminate a man with no corroborating evidence as far as I could see. And it looks like they've kind of backed away from that one because it didn't work. And then just lots of the conversation, lots of the tactics and stuff. I'm just kind of like, what's going on here? Like, I don't like it. You know what I mean? This isn't even saying that Republicans are perfect or align completely with my thoughts or values or whatever. But in terms of just playing dirty, the Democrats seem to be doing a lot of that. Like, I don't know how much of it is. I don't know what the situation's like on the ground, but based on what I see on Twitter and what I see people saying. Oh, and there was the whole that kid in the MAGA hat, the whole Covington school thing,
oh my
and
gosh.
the whole coverage of like all this stuff. I'm just kind of like, what's going? This is not good. This is not reasonable. This is not fair. This is just not how people should be treated. And then on the same hand, they're trying to play like they're the good guys. And I assume half of the USA still thinks they're the good guys. And at this point, I'm just kind of like, even if you think Republicans are the bad guys, I don't know how you can think the Democrats are the good guys. Like either they're
Yeah.
I don't know. Like
Yeah,
I'm just not.
We've got a
Yeah.
scenario. I'm almost wondering what it. I always wonder what it looks like from people on the outside of the states looking in at this craziness. Yeah. And I think you pretty much hit the nail on the head. For those of us that are here on the ground, kind of seeing this play out, I think most of us are like going, "What? Like this is not normal human behavior." What we're seeing, I think we're seeing a bunch of children in Congress. Everybody assume, there's like this idea that there's like this secret cabal of people that are in government control, and there's like this handful of people but I just don't see that level of intelligence going into politics that would allow for something like that. It's like these people don't know. Just looking at it from here, it's like, like you said, it blows your mind. You're like, what is going on? Like, I don't see this chaos and drama in my own life. Why in the heck is it going on in politics? I mean, what are they trying to do? I get a sense of it. I think they're trying to divide people. I mean, I think that's definitely going on. That's been going on for quite some time because if we're divided, we're not asking questions about the people in charge. We're just too busy fighting amongst one another all the time.
Yeah, exactly. And I think a lot of the times, I think that a lot of the stuff that people try to blame Trump for, I honestly think, like, again, I'm not even a partisan. I don't have a dog in the fight. I'm not a Republican. I'm not a Democrat. Yeah. But
same here.
Like in 2016, like if I were American, there's this might not be a popular statement. I've said it to people and they've looked at me in shock. But in 2016, if I were an American, I probably would have voted for Donald Trump. If the Democrats keep going on as they are now, I would absolutely vote for him in 2020 or any non-Dem. They've moved so far, and they've got, on another hand, they're trying to like bring in socialism, and I'm just kind of like, what is, it's like they're moving so far off of what I consider any kind of central platform.
Man, I put out a theory.
I'm just like, I can't support that. All throughout my life. Yeah. All throughout my life, up until probably like 2014 or so, like both parties seemed fairly reasonable for the most part. It was more like, okay, which candidate do you prefer? That's how I'd always viewed it. And then just in the past couple of years, I'm like, wow, like this behavior has been really off-putting. Like all the stuff that people claim that Trump or Trump supporters are doing or saying or causing, I'm like, how are you not seeing how this is coming from the other side? Like if you're talking about division, you've got these people, saying, literally trying to divide people up by their race, their sexuality, their gender, etc., and then tell them what they need to think based on those things or condemning them based on those things. And I'm just kind of like, how are people not seeing this hypocrisy here? Like it's clear as like broad daylight to me.
It blows my mind. I'll be at work. I'll be at work around. We have a whole bunch of different races and ethnicities and different types of people there at work. It's like I'm here. I'm looking at you. Look at the news, and you would think that blacks and whites everywhere are just battling each other. And then I see it. A black guy walk up to a white guy at work. Hey man, how you doing? And they're patting each other on the back, like excited to see each other. I'm like, this is not matching. The reality of what I'm seeing is not matching the reality of what the media is trying to push on us. It's like, come on, look around, people. I think everybody's getting along just fine. Yeah, there's a few assholes out there. There always is going to be a few assholes out there. Mm-hmm. But like right now, everything's
and they come in all and those come in all colors too.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I wanted to ask you about this song coming up for your upcoming album called Perseverance. Okay. There was a lyric in there that caught my attention. It said, I give you 12 rules for life and kept my room clean. I'm the Jordan Peterson of rap. I did not expect to hear that in any rap song ever in my life. I've kind of written off rap as a general genre just because you kind of get tired of hearing the same shit. Like all I hear is about, cars and money and big chains and like how awesome I am and how many women I sleep with. I'm like, I'm not relating here. But yeah, tell me about that. What inspired you? I'm assuming, Jordan Peterson's a good influence on you here. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I've followed him for about 3 years now before he blew up, like before he was this big global phenomenon doing these sold out speaking tours and, way before the book came out. So I've been following his work probably from around early 2016. And I think that guy's a hero. I legitimately think this guy's a hero. And the more flack people throw at him, the more it actually, so the criticisms of him are so, again, they're so off base and so just made up and not based in reality or anything that he actually has said nor done. Again, you've got people trying to like say that he's some kind of the usual terms: racist, bigot, homophobe, transphobe, blah, blah, blah. He's some kind of like cult leader or something. And I'm just kind of like, have you actually listened to what this guy is saying and what his actual message is?
Yeah.
You know, the backlash, it's like, it just doesn't make, again, it's so it's not even just disproportionate. It's like the opposite of what it should be. You've got someone here who's literally helping people become better people. He's helping society become more cohesive and more conscious and self-aware, and you're trying to say that he's some kind of Hitler type figure or some kind of
and with basic
fascist
common
or some kind
sense,
of scary person. And it's just like, what on earth are you talking about?
Yeah, basic common sense type advice here. Like, you know, clean your room. You know, if you want to change the world, start with actually, you know, having some control over your environment right there around you. Like, if you can't even make your bed properly, you know, if you can't even control your own environment, what makes you think you can control the, you know? It's like, wait a minute, this is, and what you're talking about is the left wing and their criticism of him. I don't know if you've heard recently, there's this huge thing going on between Jordan Peterson and Vox Day, where
he wrote a book about him, right?
Yeah. And a good friend of mine that's been, you know, he's been doing this kind of political talk for a while now. He's kind of drank the Vox Day Kool-Aid, so to speak, and totally written Jordan Peterson off as almost he's even asked the question: is Jordan Peterson the Antichrist? Like, he's a real Christian. And the argument is, as far as I understand it, in my limited reading of this, because I'm really not that interested, is that Vox Day says that Jordan Peterson is kind of a guy that's sent in to kind of deaden the revolution, to kind of keep right-wing people like white men at bay, like kind of keep them under control, like lull them to a, you know, hey, y'all focus on cleaning your room instead of focusing on you know, defeating the left. Like that they feel like Jordan Peterson's been sent in to do that specifically. It's like some kind of deep level conspiracy. I don't know, man.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Like he's what do they call it? Controlled opposition.
Yeah, he's quite controlled opposition. He's like a real interesting figure for people, because so many people do relate and kind of and they hear his message, and he talks really well. He's very eloquent, very well spoken. He says what he thinks, as far as I can tell. And it's like,
and those are all qualities that I would like to say that I also have, and what I strive for. So that's part of the reason why I find him, you know, very inspirational, and I'm glad he's out there doing what he's doing and saying what he's saying, because it's like, look, for the past couple of years, people have been skirting and pussyfooting around certain issues and not just being frank, honest, and having common sense, right? And it's funny that he's even deemed controversial, because literally like 80% of the stuff he says that people consider controversial, you know, he'll say something about like how the ways in which men and women are different. And I'm kind of like, look, if you inhabit the real world and you've existed for more than like my 3-year-old nephew can tell you that boys and girls are quite different, you know? And it's just like, you know, and people are suddenly shocked by this and be like, oh my gosh, he said that. And I'm like, do you not inhabit reality? Do you in your heart of hearts really believe that men and women are the same thing or are completely interchangeable, and that every difference between them, like none of them are biological and it's all pure society? So we need to change society, we need to change culture, we need to equalize everything 50. I'm like, you're insane. Literally, I'm like, if you think that is reasonable, then you're crazy. And I see this stuff in the music world as well, because you've got people pushing for example, with music festivals or just musicians in general, you do have obviously music leans very heavily left wing,
right?
But yeah, which is fine. That's expected. You know, creative people tend to be more liberal just because of their personality type, and that in itself isn't an issue. But you've got, for example, festivals or things like that, pushing for these 50-50 gender balanced lineups on their festivals, for example. And I mean, okay, based on your hat, I'm assuming you like heavy metal.
I do sometimes. This is actually a hat that my brother had purchased for me. We went to a concert.
It looks like it's a heavy metal type font on it.
Yeah. I went to a show with my brother had invited me to. Actually, went to a show in Atlanta. It's about 3 hours from here. And my mom came and my aunt came, and my mom and I were in the mosh pit together. That, I mean, you don't
sick.
you know you've lived life when you've been in a mosh pit with your 54-year-old mom.
That's awesome.
Anyway,
that's awesome. Yeah, but coming back to what I was saying, so I mean, if you look at a genre like hip hop, heavy metal, EDM, etc., these are 90 to 97% of the artists in them are male, largely because men tend to be more interested both in making and listening to those forms of music, and that's fine. Like there's genres of music that are more female dominated. That's fine. Like men and women are different. This is not news. This is not controversial. So why would you expect a 50-50 gender split on a heavy metal lineup? Like, can people even name to me like 5 female heavy metal bands? Like,
yes.
No, they can't.
Okay,
maybe you can.
Okay,
maybe
the average,
you can.
yeah.
Right? I don't think the average. Maybe you can. But like, I don't think the people pushing for this stuff, I bet they couldn't even name enough female bands to fill half the lineup. So I'm kind of like, why would you expect that to be the case? Like, it just doesn't. It doesn't make sense. People are just losing that it's just very common sense. Like, I almost feel like people are over intellectualizing stuff, like, rather than just being like, okay, yeah, this, you've got people who deny. There are literally people, like, this is shocking. There are literally people who think that the strength differential between men and women is based on society and culture rather than biology. There's people who actually think that.
Yes, I have
There's
ran
people
into
who
a
actually
few.
think that. There are people who think that men are physically stronger because society encourages them to be. And I'm just like, I can't have a conversation with someone like that, because I'm just like, you're not even in reality here.
And you said you think that's a result of over intellectualization? Or
in a way, in a weird way, because it tends to come from people who are like educated / indoctrinated in a certain way.
Can I give you a better word? How about trying to over justify your beliefs as they come to you, like trying really hard to find.
I think trying to over.
Yeah.
Yeah, but what I mean is, like, I think if you went to someone with no education, okay, and like in some ways they'd be smarter and wiser than some of these people who are coming out of universities or are around that age, and their brains have just been polluted with these very strange ideas where you're supposed to question absolutely everything down to 1 + 1 = 2. And, now mathematics is, I swear I read an article not too long ago about how mathematics and science are somehow artifacts of white supremacy or male patriot, and I'm just like, my head just starts. So mathematics is a construct of the white patriarchy.
You need to send me that article.
Dude, I'm lost. I can't deal anymore, man. Like, people just need to like pull their heads out their butts and just.
I need to see that article so bad. That sounds like some fake made up article, like satire is what it sounds like. Because I mean,
you can't tell now though, can you?
Yeah, I mean nowadays the lines are getting blurry. The lines are getting real blurry. Check this out. We have a segment that we've been doing and having a lot of fun with called the phobismist. We took the word phobism and ist and made a profession out of it. And our goal is to take these seemingly mundane, unoffensive stories otherwise, and really try to dig in and see how somebody could be offended, and we train people to look for the offensive ways in which the world can be viewed. And it's just so much fun because we come up with so much random shit, man. you could literally be offended by anything you want to be offended by in some fashion or another if you really try hard enough.
Can.
It's so much fun.
Of course you can.
So
I mean, you've got art, It's got articles about is milk racist? Milk, like milk is.
Of course, milk is racist.
Have you heard that one? Like,
that's an easy one.
A lot of Black and Asian people are lactose intolerant. So, milk is now some symbol of white supremacy. And I'm just like, please, can we stop? Like, there's actual problems. The most annoying thing about all this stuff is that there are real problems in the world.
Yeah. Oh, yeah,
Right?
absolutely.
There are genuine problems in the world. There are genuine things which are worthy of attention and outrage and focus and perhaps even protest. But whenever people are getting outraged or people are protesting or whatever, like 80% of the time, it's over some dumb crap that either doesn't exist or is not a problem, or is just so minor that, you're like, the shampoo in hotel bathrooms works better on white people's hair than on black people's hair. So this is now some instance of structural or institutional racism, rather than maybe the fact that if you're in a predominantly white country, they probably just get the cheapest shampoo that, will work on whatever person's hair. And if you need a special shampoo, go and bring your own to the hotel. You're allowed to.
Wait,
people
no.
are getting...
You're not making a lot of sense.
I'm not making this up.
No, you're not making a lot of sense. Like, why would I bring my own shampoo? Like, I demand that we have a lineup of shampoos, soaps, conditioners for all hair types, for all colors of people.
And beard products too. We both got beards. We need
right. I didn't even think of that. Like the oppression of the bearded man. There's like no beard oils there ever.
I'm tired of beardism. People are really beardist these days.
Anti-beardist.
Yeah, it's tiring.
Anyway, before we move on to the next major topic, I wanted to ask you, go back to the music industry. I was just curious because of your outspoken nature and your general political leanings, if you will. Are you finding it challenging to enter certain markets and stuff? Are you finding that you're meeting a lot of resistance in the music industry because of that?
That's a good question. I mean, weirdly enough, despite being a full-time musician, I don't really consider myself part of the music industry because I'm independent. I just kind of do my own thing and connect with my fans directly for the most part. I've got some contacts within the music business or the industry who might, in terms of like distribution, getting my stuff on iTunes and Spotify and whatever. I've got people who assist with that, or excuse me, obviously I work with music video directors and producers and stuff like that. In terms of that, like, it's fine. And again, I mean, I'm not a highly politically charged person. I'm not someone who, you'd meet me and you'll get some like obvious idea of my political positioning or leaning or whatever. It's like if people want to have certain conversations, I'm happy to have conversations and express my views or whatever. Yeah. But my like, funnily enough, last year, because it was only last year that I started, talking a bit more openly and being a bit more outspoken about some of this stuff, because I was like, you know what, like certain things were just going so far that I felt compelled to speak out, to be honest with you. Before that, I just felt like, whatever. But then it got to a stage where I was like, okay, like some of these things are going too far. Some of these ideas are not being challenged. Someone needs to actually stand up and be like, wait, hang on here. Like, let's think about this as well. Let's not just flip the entire Monopoly board upside down. Let's not just burn this whole thing down. Because, so I mean, I'm not even like, I don't get into a lot of stuff about it, and my fans don't care. Like, my fans like my music generally. So maybe I've gained some fans off of Twitter, for example, because of some of my views, and then they've discovered my music kind of after that. But most people who know me. Yeah. But traditionally, most people who know me from my music, and I don't rap about politics. I don't, put out songs about how I think taxes should be lower or whatever. So, it's kind of like, it's not like a big, it's not really a big deal to the majority of people.
The short answer basically is that you're not feeling as much because of the fact that you do connect directly with your audience, and you don't kind of see that, you don't get to the full blow of trying to make it in the music industry and trying to what's the word here, trying to impress music producers and art and labels.
Maybe if I was entangled in that whole kind of like inner workings of the mainstream music industry and stuff, then I'm sure I might receive some resistance from certain people or whatever. Maybe not. I don't really know, but I'm not really
Right.
in that world despite being an artist.
No, I've tried. I play music as well. I've tried to write music with other people in the local area, but it seems like every time politics even ends up coming up, all of a sudden, they're not making any appointments to hang out with me or write music anymore. They're just like kind of separate. Like it's not like a real obvious thing. Like, oh well, you support Trump in some fashion or another, which I really don't, because I'm an anarchist, which is a whole nother story. But they hear that I'm like, oh, Trump ain't as bad as the media makes him out to be, and they're like, oh, well, we can't, we can't.
Yeah, that's the thing. But again, the hypocrisy comes down to, these will often be the same people talking about things like diversity.
Right.
And you're kind of like, look, if you can't keep saying and preaching one thing, you can't be talking about diversity and tolerance and kindness and compassion, and then as soon as someone has a slightly different perspective on an issue to you,
right,
then if the person's a flipping raging Nazi or something, that's different, right? But if someone is just like, oh no, well, I prefer, I think this, or maybe you should think about it that way or whatever, and then you're suddenly gonna brand them as something bad, which they're not, and you're going to disassociate yourself from them, and you're going to insult them, and I'm like, that's literally you can't just be tolerant. Being tolerant of people who share your exact views and worldview is not tolerant by definition. The whole point of tolerance is that, okay, I'm a religious person, I'm a Christian, okay?
Yeah.
Am I right in saying you're an atheist?
Yes.
Is that correct?
Yes,
okay,
that's
cool.
correct.
So tolerance is us. We can have this conversation. I can be a Christian. You can be an atheist.
I had no idea.
Yeah, exactly. But now we both know, right? We can still like each other.
No. I'm sorry. This call is over from this point forward. I'm done.
It's a wrap.
I'm not even
exactly. You need to step away. Yeah. So like the whole point of tolerance is, we can have different perspectives, different worldviews, but as long as people are kind and empathetic and respectful to each other, we can have difficult discussions and whatever.
Sure.
But that's what tolerance is. If I meet someone who's a Muslim, I meet someone who's an atheist, I meet someone who's a Jew, who's a Hindu, whatever, I'm not going to jump to some huge conclusion based on that, let alone cast them away or whatever, because that's what intolerance is. So you can't be preaching that and then behaving in a really intolerant way. You can't be saying you want diversity, and then as soon as someone slightly deviates from your worldview, and oftentimes these worldviews are not popular worldviews either, right? The super hyper progressive, woke, intersectional type of people.
I don't even call that a worldview.
They're a very small minority.
Yeah, I don't even call that a worldview. I call that more of a dogma or an ideology, because it really is. Yeah. It's not like a worldview. I would say I guess maybe define it as more like an actual well thought out series of thoughts that you have about the world. But I don't know if that falls in the category for me, as far as it's more like being raised a Christian. Most people tend to stay Christian, or being raised as a Muslim, you tend to stay Muslim. I think that's the same thing in this leftist ideology. You're raised in the culture. There's not really a lot of actual thought that goes into it. You're just taught, and it's modeled for you that you're supposed to overreact when you hear ideas that go against yours. I don't know.
I've heard it defined as a secular religion, which I would agree with.
Yeah, and I've definitely seen elements of that, especially as an atheist standing on the outside of it all, looking at it. It's like I can see very similar elements between like hardcore Christians that I have ran into, and hardcore leftists that I've ran into as well. It's like, you guys aren't so different, really.
No,
really
not
so
at all. Oftentimes they're a lot more fanatical, in fact.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Especially, and if I had to choose which one was going to be in power, I would choose the Christian every time, because at least I know that their God doesn't even actually have any power over my life. That the government does definitely have a very direct impact on my life. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, it makes complete sense.
From my perspective, that is.
Yeah. And you at least know that those Christians, like, whether or not you agree with it entirely, they've got some actual moral center,
right? Rather
than the whole idea of morality being completely individual and subjective and whatever.
God, that's the worst.
Different rules applying to different people as well. So that if one person does, person A does something to person B, then that's one rule. If person B does something to person A, oh no, we need to have another set of rules for that because the power dynamic, the power differential is different, and this one's the oppressor, this one's the victim, and you've got this, you got this whole weird Marxist kind of stuff, and it's like, no, man, I'm about actual fairness. When I say fairness, I mean actually treating people as individuals, applying the same rules to everybody, and not having these weird exceptions and double standards and stuff.
Having universal principles and morals and ethics and treating everybody the same. Like, no way. That's you mentioned talking about Nazis. You said unless they're actual hardcore Nazis. And I thought that was interesting because it reminds me, I'm over on the wild west of social media, minds.com. And I do encounter some white supremacists there that follow me, and they interact with my things, and I do call them out for stuff. I'm like, you guys are fucking stupid. And it's so much fun to do that, to sit there and see, okay, there is people that also believe this stuff. It's fun. It's fun to sit there and call them out on it, and then it's also interesting to be called a Nazi on another social media platform for having the beliefs I do.
Look, I've been called one. So once people think that a young black guy can be one, then they've lost the plot.
Yeah. There's something you need to go back and study history again. Not government school history, but actual history. Let's go there. So I want to change subjects on you just a little bit. There was another song that I heard called Cryptocurrently. And I was like, that's got to be a play on words about cryptocurrency. That's absolutely got to be that. And I was not disappointed when I clicked play on that song. Tell me a little bit about your exposure to cryptocurrency and what it is, why you're so interested in this topic, so much so that you actually recorded an entire song about it.
First of all, I'd say my exposure is far too high, especially given.
Oh, I'll give you that.
Especially given the past year. Yeah.
It's been nuts, hasn't it?
Oh, good grief, man. Like, yeah. I'm patient. I'm a patient guy. I'm not I'm in it long term.
Yeah, same here.
I'm just annoyed I didn't hold off, because I would have been able to buy like a lot more had I been more patient. But you live and you learn. Yeah, but I'm very interested in crypto. I'm actually a computer science graduate. I studied computer science, so I wish I'm one of those people, like a lot of people. I wish I'd looked at Bitcoin properly when I very first heard about it, because I did hear about it like really early, but I did no research. I just thought it was some internet money that you'd use for like gaming and maybe buying like new weapons on some RPG or something like that. I didn't know
drugs, it was. Or buy drugs with it on the black market.
Yeah. Well, I did no research into it until 2017. But yeah, no, I think it's as someone who's just interested in technology and the future, I see, like, I do remember the early days of the internet and the early days of social media and all that. I mean, when I started doing my music, I mean, MySpace was the big thing, Facebook. I was one of the first people on Facebook.
Wait, how old are you?
Sorry?
How old are you?
I'm 32.
32. Oh, I'm 35. You just turned 35. Yeah. Okay, I was like, you started on MySpace. My God.
Yeah, man, MySpace. Yeah, like 2000, 2005, 2006. Yeah. MySpace was the one. So that's when I started my music when I was in university. So, I was very heavy on that. And then my university was actually one of the first universities in the UK that Facebook opened up to, because I studied at Oxford. So, Facebook started just in Harvard, and then they expanded it to some of the Ivy League. And then they brought it to Oxford and Cambridge in the UK before they opened it up to other universities. So I was on Facebook in 2004. So I've been on Facebook since 2004, 15 years, which is pretty crazy. So I've seen it go through its whole evolution and whatever, and seeing that, and then looking at crypto and being someone who's quite libertarian minded as well, and who, thinks that there is certainly a strong case to have a global decentralized currency that is deflationary and which is limited and, can just be used peer to peer, both in, I think there's like the whole use case for it and the ideas. Once I did my research, it all clicked for me very quickly, actually. I wasn't skeptical for that long, which is why I was saying I kind of kicked myself for not looking at it properly earlier, because I probably would have invested in it very early had I done that research, because
I first encountered it when it was $114 for one Bitcoin. And I mean, I wish I had implemented my strategy now, which is, I don't have a lot of money to invest, but I do invest a little. every week I put about $10 into Bitcoin. I just a little bit of money on the side just automatically goes. And I was sitting there thinking, man, if I'd have done that back in the day, I would probably.
Of course.
Man,
of course.
That's crazy. So
I do still think it's extremely early, though, to be fair.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I do too. And I'm sitting there thinking, man, I wish I would have done it then, but I'm also glad I'm doing it now. And I'm really looking at other people that are like writing me off all the time because I'm talking about it at work all the time. And people are even to the point, it does remind me of early internet days where guys at work are like, they'll come up with some joke and they're like, well, you could buy it with that Bitcoin of yours. Like,
of course, man,
guys,
of course,
all right.
Every technology is like that. Until I'm sure you've seen the classic adoption curve, right? Of any sort of technology or product. And so the people who are early, the innovators, the pioneers, the people who tend to be, let's be honest, it tends to be people who are a little more geeky in a way, who are more willing to get involved in stuff like that early, and then you've got the early adopters, then you've got kind of the, early majority, late majority, and then you've got finally the laggards. The laggards are the people who are just discovering social media now, right? Despite the fact that
20 years from now, you have
exactly.
You have the hipsters that jump in because it's old technology by now.
Yeah, exactly. So I do think that I don't know about the majority of the cryptos. I don't think the majority are going to survive long term, but I think that Bitcoin and a couple others, I think those are going to be, I would predict that it wouldn't surprise me in 10, 20 years. I've got like 9 nieces and nephews who are, ranging from age a couple of weeks up to like the age of like 12. Mm-hmm. And it wouldn't surprise me if when they're our age, they're using some form of cryptocurrency daily, whether or like if it's just complete standard, just like us using mobile phones and the internet is standard. Yep. It would not surprise nor shock me if transacting in Bitcoin and other cryptos is just completely native and normal and just completely standard to them. And maybe they'd even look at what we're doing now and be like, oh gosh, why did they have their money system? So, why were they doing that? Just like we might look back at people like writing physical letters all the time or sending telegrams or using carrier pigeons as kind of being like, why did you do it like that? Like, that wasn't efficient.
Like that was incredibly terrible. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So I can't predict the future, but I think that's a very possible reality as someone who tends to actually be fairly good at seeing where the world is going. But coming back to the song specifically, I wanted to see how many different coins I could name drop in a single song and still have it make sense. So I think I managed to get about 50 different cryptos in there.
Yeah, there was a lot of them. I was like, oh, I know that one. I have some of that one. I got that one.
Yeah. And I wanted the song to still make sense to someone who doesn't know that I'm talking about particular coins. Like the lyrics still make sense even if you don't know that I'm referencing different coin names. Yeah.
Quite a balance. Yeah. Most folks have heard of Bitcoin, but then if I say Ethereum, they're automatically just no idea what you're talking about. It's like, no, Ethereum? You don't know Ethereum? Come on, man.
Your glasses kind of have the logo on it.
My glasses?
Yeah.
What do you mean?
It's got the Ethereum logo on them.
Oh,
the frames.
Oh yeah, the little
diamond.
Yeah. Secret government ops. Don't tell nobody. I wear my associations out on my sleeve here. I'm having a moment here. I had a question. Oh, that's what I was going to ask you. There was I've been noticing lately in the crypto industry specifically that people do vary on their political ideologies as well in the cryptocurrency or in the crypto arena. And it seems like that's one area where everybody tends to get along pretty well because of the decentralized nature of it. And I had a theory, let me see if this rings true to you at all, that we all see cryptocurrency as a solution to our potential problems that are, our issues that we think we have that we always try to use government to solve. We see cryptocurrency as a means of solving those problems. The big difference being that doing it with the blockchain is decentralized and it's voluntary. Do you see a scenario in the future where everybody tends to cool down a little bit on their political divisions and just if they're interested in fixing a problem in the world, they go after a blockchain or they join a network that helps solve that problem versus trying to use the strong arm of the government to get their way.
Yeah, I do think so. And I think that with Bitcoin, certainly there are, depending on someone's political viewpoints, there are use cases and benefits on kind of all sides, really, except the authoritarian side, maybe. But, there's a strong libertarian use case for it. There's, I spoke to, I don't know if you know the YouTuber Lewis Thomas. I spoke to him on my podcast. I've got one coming out with him later, and he's someone who's, considers himself very much more a lefty, to the point of, considering himself a socialist.
Yeah.
But, he thinks that there's a good, case for it on that end in terms of banking unbanked people and, kind of putting it back in the hands of the people.
Right.
And then, on a more capitalistic sense, of course, there's the crazy gains expectations of, people just wanting to make their own personal fortunes and investment money and whatever. So I think it kind of satisfies
green technology.
So I think it satisfies all those different needs. Further to that point, though, I do honestly think that a lot of the political division it exists, but I do also think that when it comes to the real world, I think it's overblown. Like, I think online it gets very, very heated, and sometimes it does trickle into the real world. But if you go out on the street and you're walking down the street, I don't think people are looking at each other like, ooh, that person's left wing, that person's right wing, that person's that. You know what I mean? Like, you just see people, and most people do just interact with people as people. Like, there are people who have known me for 20 years and probably don't even know my political views, right? And I might not even know theirs. And it doesn't, I think we've been led to think that it matters way more than it really does. Mm-hmm. I think it's an interesting discussion topic, to see how people, because you can present the same problem to different people and you might get 5 different responses as to what the best solution is. Some people will say, okay, the government should do this. Other people will say, no, you actually want to reduce what the government is doing there and let the free market take place. You'll have other people, saying, okay, maybe some kind of hybrid combination of these two things, or maybe this, or maybe that. Right. And at the end of the day, I mean, what I care about I think what everyone should care about is good ideas and solutions that work. You might not always be able to make everybody happy and satisfy everybody. You're always going to have some degree of compromise. But ultimately, like, most people just want stuff to work and want to be happy individually, and don't want people running around committing crime and beating each other up and killing each other. Like, most people just want peace and stability and normality. Some people think that the government should take a bigger role in that. Some people don't. And at the end of the day, I'm just kind of like, I'm interested in ideas. I'm someone who I have quite strong views on some things. I don't have strong views on most things, though, because I put my hands up. I'm like, I don't know. Just before we started recording, you were mentioning to me about like Brexit stuff, and I don't really have a strong opinion on Brexit because I'm just like, I don't know, and I don't think anybody else does. Like, people aren't honest enough to say, what, I don't know, but I'm honest enough to be like, look, I don't know. I don't know what the best thing for the next 2 decades or the future of the UK is. I don't know. I don't know if it's staying in the EU. I don't know if it's leaving it. And I don't think you would know either until many, many years after whatever happens. I mean, Brexit could go ahead and the UK pulls out, and in 20 years' time, people are like, oh, that was such a good decision. Like, in hindsight, it's so good that we pulled out.
It'll probably be 50-50 even then. They'll probably be like, well, we shouldn't have done it because X, or all the problems we're having now are because of that, even though that may not have anything to do with that.
Yeah, it could be, but it's like, I don't know. Like, I don't know. So when people are like, oh, what do you think of Brexit? And I'm like, honestly, I don't know. Like, at a very high level, there are some things in the way that the communication was done or whatever that I don't think are good, or the way it's being handled, or in terms, there's a lot of stuff that is maybe questionable, but in terms of the actual effect, I'm like, look, it hasn't happened. So I don't know. You have people predicting these doom and gloom scenarios, like, everyone's gonna, there's gonna be food shortages, and there's gonna be a drought, and everyone's gonna lose their jobs, and this and that. And I'm like, okay, I think that's probably not gonna happen.
Well, that's the problem when people try to put
but-
all their eggs into the government solution basket. Like when everybody's like counting on the government, you're like, we need to do this. This is what I believe we need to do, and everybody's like lobbying the government to do that, versus actually finding their own solutions. And I think that's another strong case to be made for crypto is like, or the blockchain technology is like, this is an arena where, yeah, you can try your solution and I can try my solution, and the better one will win out. Like eventually enough people will move over to the one that seems to be winning more and we'll go down that path together. I think that's more what we'll see in the future. Once we can get the damn government out of the way, like,
yeah, man. Like, I mean, I'm certainly not to the point of being considering myself an anarchist. I think there's a purpose and a necessity for some form of government, but I do lean fairly strongly libertarian.
Same here, for the most part.
To thinking that I do think that the government is involved, and people have expectations of the government which aren't really necessarily within its remit. Which people as individuals or as societies or groups or communities could actually do things better, or which also, a private free market may be able to just do better.
Well, let me differentiate though between governance and government.
Go for it,
insofar, I'm perfectly okay with governance as far as people having like societies or some kind of a setup where we have an authority on a subject. We have like the Better Business Bureau, for example, as a private market solution for figuring out which companies are trustworthy. I mean, there's solutions like the governance is okay. Government, or having rulers above everybody else, basically a second class, another class of citizen that gets to follow different rules and isn't held accountable the same way. I think we agree that we think everybody should be on the same playing field. Everybody should follow the same rules. Like if I'm in government, I shouldn't be able to get away with things that I should never be able to get away with in the private market. Like that, I think there's definitely something to be said about equalizing that power distribution between the two parties. And right now, it's so heavily balanced toward government. And you look at all these different political situations keep coming up. It's like these people are never held accountable. These people in power, like I just don't like the idea of rulers. That's all anarchy means, is like without rulers. That's all it means. But,
No, I understand. I didn't used to. I think I did some research on it last year to get a better understanding of when people were talking about anarchism, which I think I used to think anarchism and anarchy were also the same thing as well, and I noticed that there was actually like a quite important difference, despite the words sounding kind of similar. So with anarchy just kind of being chaos, and anarchism being, like you said, without rulers. So I think it's I mean, this is the thing though. This is where diversity of ideas is actually important, because I think bringing it back to politics, I think every political ideology or whatnot, like almost all of them, apart from maybe on like the super duper extreme ends, have some correct or understandable points of view, whether or not, an individual may agree with them nor disagree with them. So I think it's interesting to have this conversation. And, I think for some situations, maybe the governmental solution is the most efficient and effective answer. For some things, maybe the, libertarian or anarchist or free market viewpoint is the correct, efficient, and, best solution. Maybe some things should be, I don't know, it's like I think it varies case to case. So I think with most things, the free market does a good job. Okay. But I think there's certainly an argument with stuff like schooling, healthcare, public roads, military, police, justice system, fire department. These things can be privatized. But I think, there's clearly an effective case that, maybe public healthcare is a good idea. Okay, I live in the UK. Obviously, we've got the NHS here. So I would lean to think that, okay, I can completely understand the arguments for completely privatizing healthcare, but I can also completely understand the idea of that being a public good and service, and you don't necessarily want the case where someone gets involved in an accident or catches some disease that's not their fault or whatever, and they end up with a $50,000 hospital bill when they check out, right? Of course, there's insurance, but the whole point is like you need those different voices to have that conversation. You can look in different places, see what works, see what doesn't work, and ultimately, I'm quite pragmatic. I'm kind of like, all right, I don't have like, not everything needs to perfectly fit my ideology. If I say I'm generally libertarian, but you can show me a case where, okay, you know what, the government being involved in this thing or providing the solution is provably better, then I'm like, okay, cool, like let's go with that then. You kind of see what I mean. I'm not going to be.
Yeah,
so...
I think I agree with you insofar as everybody's really good at pointing out the problems. Like we're really, really good at identifying the problems. I just think most people from their own seats have a hard time identifying what the solution is.
Yeah,
and that's really what we're all battling about is how do we solve it? What's the mechanism for getting those problems solved? And right now, the most obvious answer for most people is we use the strong arm of the government to get it solved. We use government violence to get it solved.
That's what people default to.
Yeah,
that's what people default to.
Once things open up to where we've got more possibilities in terms of solutions, man, I think people start to maybe open up their ideas about, oh, well, maybe my issue is an issue, but maybe it's not as big of an issue because it seems like in your world, like you may see a certain issue and it's like, oh, this is a huge deal. We should all be solving this problem. When in reality, it's like 1% of the population is experiencing what you're experiencing. Like we don't need a huge government solution to solve that. We just need, more of a better way of solving it that really is more tailored to your specific situation.
Yeah, and I think for all that to work, you do need to have the societal fabric and cohesion. I think that's what's important. I think that's one of the further problems with division and people not wanting to talk across party lines or whatever. One of the problems with that, again, is because people are, the truth is every ideology tends to have a blind spot. It's why I'm not personally a fan of feeling like I have like one strong ideology, because they all have blind spots. If someone is like hyper conservative, then they've probably got a blind spot on certain issues and potential solutions. If someone is like a socialist, okay, on the other end, if someone's like a socialist and thinks that we should have massive government should be involved in all these aspects of our lives, they've also probably got, well, not probably, they do have certain blind spots of things they're just not considering, of like, okay, well, what about that, or what about that, and if you have that conversation, you can help to realign them. I'm sure I have my own blind spots. I'm sure there are issues out there that I don't even know exist. I don't even know. I'm not even aware this thing's an issue.
Absolutely.
And someone can be like, oh, well, have you thought about this? And I'm like, oh, you know what? No, I actually haven't. So you need to be able to have those conversations. Otherwise, people just get siloed and it all gets worse.
Yeah, we just don't have the time to go and figure out all these problems. There's so many different perspectives, so many different issues. Like nobody lives that long to be able to really get the full picture of everything that's wrong. Anyway, so let me ask you this: as far as cryptocurrency goes, I am actually you're interested in crypto, and I am as well. I'm the marketing director for a cryptocurrency called Wire for Airwire.io, and I was going to ask you if you would be willing to make an exchange, a copy of your album for Wire tokens. Is that something you'd be willing to do? Basically, put your money where your mouth is, and let's actually have a crypto trade here.
I haven't heard of Wire. Tell me, if we got time, tell me a little more about it.
So basically, for anybody who don't know, Wire, what we have focused on, and what we've focused on is basically making it super simple to send crypto. Like I can go onto my Airwire account with either your phone number, your social media address. If we can DM each other, I can send you a custom link, anything, and automatically a wallet's created for you when I send that to you. I send you the link, wallet's already created. You have tokens. All you have to do is log in, fill out your profile information. You have the tokens. Versus what we currently see right now, where I have to contact you. I have to tell you what website to go to, set up your address. Okay, now send me the address for that wallet so I can know where to send these tokens, and it just makes it so much like I can literally, without you even knowing it's coming, I can send you tokens. It's like super simple.
Well, that sounds interesting, man. Well, let me do a little research, and I'm happy to do that exchange, man. Why not? I'm already accepting Bitcoin and Ethereum for my album, so.
Oh, right on. Yeah, I was actually looking for that on your website. It's like, where's the Bitcoin option?
It should be on there. It should be.
On the purchase album, I saw when I clicked the button, it showed because you can buy it in British pounds. What was it? Heck, I can't even find it. I'm trying to find it now. Anyway, yeah, I was looking at the music, and like I see a donate button at the top. I see buying music. When I click buy album, it gives me an option for PayPal, and gives me an option for credit card.
Which are you on? Have you gone to teamzuby.com?
Oh no, I'm on zubymusic.com.
Yeah, if you go to teamzuby.com, there should be crypto payment options.
Okay, cool. So that people
I don't think I've ever actually I don't think I've yet received one, but I do actually kind of want to test it just to make sure it works.
Right on. Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, I'm actually working on setting that up myself because we talk about it all the time, and I ask people for donations to help support the show, and one avenue that people should be able to do that, it should be through cryptocurrency, you would think. So I need to get it set up so people can do that. At any rate, let me ask you one more question, and we'll wrap up, man. I noticed in your bio you said you opened for Tech Nine. What was that like?
Mm-hmm. That was awesome. That the first time was in 2012, and then he was just in the UK 2 weeks ago as well. And one of my good friends, Shouto, was opening for him, so I jumped on at the Bristol show and did a track there. I actually put a clip from it up on my social media. There's a crazy video of us performing a song called 50K off my new album, and the crowd is like singing along despite the song not even being released. So that's pretty dope.
Wow, that's gotta be like super exciting hearing that.
But no, it was awesome. Tech Nine's actually my favorite artist. He's my favorite. Him and Jay-Z are my two favorite rappers. And I had the chance to meet him. He recorded a little drop for my 2013 release, Zubstep. So if you listen to my song Get Him, you hear him give me a shout out on that one. And it was just awesome, man. What he does is incredible, both in terms of music, rapping, and business. So yeah, as an independent artist, that shows me what is possible to achieve.
Man. Dude, keep up the good work. You're putting out some good content, and I think you actually bring a fresh perspective to rap that I like listening to it because it's different. It's not the same old shit. I get tired of hearing it.
I know exactly what you mean.
All right, man. All right, Zuby. Well, I sure appreciate you joining me on the show. This has been a lot of fun, and I look forward to doing it again sometime. And we'll just touch base from time to time, man.
100%, man.
All right. Any do you want to tell the audience where they can the best place to reach you would be?
Yeah, sure thing. You can find me on all social media. That's Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook, and Snapchat at Zuby Music. That's ZUBY Music, or ZUBY Music if you're in America. And my main website is zubymusic.com, and my merchandise and music website is teamzuby.com. That's TEAMZUBY.com.
All right, man. And you guys have been watching the Unframe of Mind show, where we have uncomfortable conversations without a condom. So if you want to be a guest on the show, be sure to head over to the Unframe of Mind website and fill out the form, and I'll be glad to have you on, and we'll talk about whatever you want to talk about as long as it's important to you. Y'all have a good day.
Mic check, yo. We still here? Still going strong, yeah? Are you down with Zuby? Yeah. I will not go pop, I will not go soft. When I say no means no. This is true hip-hop, I do not flip-flop. When I say flow mean flow. This is perseverance. This is perseverance. This is perseverance. This is perseverance. I will not go pop, I will not go soft. When I say no means no. This is true hip-hop, I do not flip-flop. When I say flow mean flow. This is perseverance. 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 I've been on the rhyme since I made a first appearance. I've been on the grind, never waited for the clearance. Life is all the time, so I'm gonna live it fearless. Yeah, and people gonna hear this. Made a little name with a vision and coherence. Never been a lame, now I'm closer to a genius. Knowledge in my brain, chalk it up to the experience. Still I'm not rich, but at least I ain't broke. Never sell dreams, cause I'd rather sell hope. People so lost in the mirrors and the smoke, think I'd be a realer bloke if I said I sold dope. Nope. But my fans will tell you that I'm awesome. I started selling and they bought them. I told them get them and I got them. So if you want dope bars, that's not a problem. It's time to put the needles on the wax. Rock hard like I got the Beatles in the back. Go soft, make it easy living off the map. Or I can go hard like a freaking cheetah on the track. I'm grinding from a zero to a stack. And I'm talking about De Niro getting jacked. If Wakanda needs a new king, I'ma go hard to be the leader of the pack. A needle in a stack, and I'm feeling to attack. Not a baller, no T'Challa, but a hero and I'm black. I'm an eagle to a rat, rebel demon on a track. I'm a scholar and a brawler, you don't feel it if you're whack. You're always talking evil in your rap, and I'm trying to put my meanings on the map. I gave you 12 rules for life and kept my room clean. I'm the Jordan Peterson of rap. Yeah. I will not go pop, I will not go soft. When I say no means no. This is true hip-hop, I do not flip-flop. When I say flow mean flow. This is perseverance. This is perseverance. This is perseverance. This is perseverance. I will not go pop, I will not go soft. When I say no means no. This is true hip-hop, I do not flip-flop. When I say flow mean flow. This is perseverance. This is perseverance. This is perseverance. This is perseverance. And I believe what I prophesize, so I don't apologize. Unless I do wrong, I don't bow to the mob, I don't live to antagonize. But they say I'm too outspoken. They wonder if I'm joking. Look, a little bit is jest, but I say what I feel, man, I'm real and I'm open. Trust in God, but I live in the physical. Selfish thoughts, but I give in the lyrical. Thought cops hot, want my speech to be criminal. Lies get fought when I speak the political. I am not left wing, I am not right wing. I just know all these things I know. You cannot label me, you can't put shame on me. When I say go means go. Fresh, I step into the premises, kick dope rhymes and they love how I'm expressing it. Hop online and reply to all the messages. Gotta spend time and I'm grateful that you cherish it. Don't talk crap, no, I'd rather be irrelevant. Can't play dumb, people know that I'm intelligent. See me up late night, big beard, Letterman. 12 years deep now, I'm flowing like a veteran. Dudes show love, now I'm moving up in eminence. Girls show love cause they're feeling all the pleasantness. Got huge dreams, I can never be a pessimist. Too much love, I can never be a feminist. Girl, stop looking all incredulous. I am not a bad man, I am not your nemesis. Always had a mega drive, take it back to Genesis. Worked so hard, time to reap a couple benefits. Yeah, I will not go pop, I will not go soft. When I say no means no. This is true hip-hop, I do not flip-flop. When I say flow mean flow. This is perseverance. This is perseverance. This is perseverance. This is perseverance. I will not go pop, I will not go soft. When I say no means no. This is true hip-hop, I do not flip-flop. When I say flow mean flow.